Harry S. Truman, Pope Pius, Korean War, IPA, Bikini Atoll, Mauna Loa. Hey, we didn't start that fire. That volcano erupted all on its own. The year is 1950, and this Packard 8 was on offer at Packard. But before getting into all of it, I'm Jay. Welcome to What It's Like. If you just stumbled upon this channel for the very first time, you've hit the proverbial gold mine. We feature the classics, vintage, some exotics. This channel is home for the orphan cars. This is a milestone episode for the channel, 400th episode. So if you dig this episode, there are 399 just like it. We talk about the history, we dive in deep on specs, button switches and knobs, design, but most importantly, we show what these cars are like. If that sounds like a channel that would interest you, something that you would totally dig, subscribe and hit the bell icon next to it to never miss a video. This 1950 Packard 8 is currently for sale at Classic Auto Mall, Morgantown, Pennsylvania, with over 1,000 cars for sale when recording this episode. Anybody can go there. Admission is totally free. For more pricing, pictures, and information pertaining to this very car, as well as to view their extensive inventory. And remember, they also have shipping and financing available. Be sure to click the link below after the show. Tuesday, December 12th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be having our end of the year recap, totally live event, and can't wait. Hope to see you there. 1950, Packard was offered in 4 model lines on 2 different wheelbase configurations. Packard 8, which rides a wheelbase of 120 inches. In the middle was the Super and the Super Deluxe, which ride a wheelbase of 127 inches. Custom Series was at the top, riding the same 127-inch wheelbase. Packard offered the 8, and this is where things get a little bit tricky because Packard had an 8-cylinder engine in their lineup from 1924 through 1955, but they offered a line of cars labeled as Packard 8 from 1924 to 1936, marketed a few other names before returning to Packard 8 for 1946 through 1950. But they didn't get rid of the inline 8 until their V8 came out in 1955. Both Packard and Pontiac were the last companies to give up their straight 8 engines. Packard offered a straight 8 in their lineup for 31 years, minus the war years, of course. The Packard 8 went by a couple different aliases. It could either be called the Packard Standard 8 or the Packard 8. Standard equipment included but not limited to twin horns, dual sun visors, variable speed wipers, but they were vacuum operated, reading light in the rear, trunk light, rear view mirror, turn signals, and bumper jack. Packard's automatic transmission was on offer as an option called the Ultramatic, which Packard offered from 1949 to 1954. It was a hydraulic torque converter automatic transmission, 2 speeds plus reverse with a torque converter lockup called direct drive. But it's important to note the original Ultramatic did not switch gears between high and low range. That had to be done by the driver. Packard also celebrated their golden anniversary, 50 years, even though Packard was founded in 1899, which would technically make it 51-year anniversary. This era of Packard is often called the pregnant elephant era because of their bloated appearance. Packards before the war looked like this. Packards after the war kind of sort of lost their way, and I will be the first to say that this is not my favorite era of Packard, but they have definitely grown on me to the point where Packard hasn't made a bad looking car, just some of them look better than others. 1950 is essentially a carryover body design that started clear back in 1948. So let's compare the 47 to the 50, 47 on top, 50 on the bottom, starting in the front. Same concept, totally different execution. The 47 has more pronounced nose and fender region. The 50 also has a raised hood, but it flows as one piece. The grille is taller on the 47. 50 grille got wider and it shrunk. Turn signals were relocated. Because the nose isn't tall on the 50, the side trim on the hood was dropped. But with that said, I never noticed this, but you could definitely see the hood lines more like bam in your face on the 50, whereas you can't really see them on the 47. Moving to the side profile. In this picture, the 47 looks to be longer. It's 215.5 inches long. The 50 is 204 inches long. The cabin area, roof line, they look very similar. Both have front and rear vents, gas doors, wheel discs with beauty rings. The trim is totally different. A little while ago, we mentioned the hood trim was gone on the 50, but it was actually moved to the front fender. Packard's script on the 50 versus name and model of the car, and the location is different. The 50 has trim that runs the belt line versus 47 goes from the nose of the car to the front vent window, and then a different piece of trim on top of the doors and out the rear in a sloping fashion. Moving to the rear, the 50 is more streamlined, bumpers, taillights. Well, to be fair, everything is mostly different between these two. Both trunks can be opened from the rear by the handle. Moving inside to take a look at the dash, which are totally different. Which one do you like more? Let's talk specs. 204 inches long, 77.4 inches wide. It rides a wheelbase of 120 inches. It weighs 3,977 pounds. Price, $2,230, which is equivalent to you spending $28,469.14 in the year 2023. Total 1950 Packard production was 42,627 units, of which total 8 was 40,359 units. Moving on to engine. Only one engine on offer for the Packard Standard 8. That was the 288 cubic inch displacement flathead inline 8, 4.7 liters. It's good for 135 horsepower at 3,600 RPM, 230 pound-feet or 312 newton meters at 1,800 RPM with a bore of 3.5 inches and a stroke of 3.8 inches. Compression is 7:1. Featured 5 main bearings. It could be had with 3 transmission options: the 3-speed manual with overdrive, or the Ultramatic. 0 to 60 with the 3-speed manual. These numbers are going to be with the 3-speed manual and the Ultramatic. 0 to 60 with the 3-speed manual was 16.9 seconds. Theoretical top speed, 87 miles per hour. Average fuel consumption was 13.4 mpg. With the Ultramatic, 0 to 60 was 19.7 seconds. Theoretical top speed, 88 miles per hour. Average fuel consumption, 13.5 miles to the gallon. And these are just baseline numbers, a jumping off point, if you will. Mileage may vary. It's important to note the oil is fully pressurized to the main bearings, connecting rod, camshaft, piston pin bearings, and valve tappets. Floating oil screen. The frame consists of an X-frame type box section with side rails. Front suspension utilizes independent front suspension, double-acting shock absorbers with a roll bar. Rear suspension is semi-elliptic springs with rubber bearing spring brackets and shackles, direct-acting airplane type shock absorbers, lateral stabilizer. This has Hotchkiss drive, meaning it does not have a torque tube. Let's talk styling. Look at how these fenders curve, and then where the headlight is placed. Just look at all of the different layers of the grille. Turn signal indicators there. Bumpers, bumper overriders, and or bumper guards. Everybody calls them different. This car does have a center line. Also notice how this has a bit of a center line going down to the Packard crest. There's also a center line in the hood. The hood is pretty smooth, other than that one center line. belt line molding that runs the belt line of the car. This is like Packard trademark. They did it before anybody else did. It's a little bit thicker on this car than it usually is. The fenders are just rolled. Nice Packard script there, just after the wheel well. This car does not have rocker trim. This car also does not have a cowl vent, but just look at how this hood is designed. It comes up to almost like a V, or almost like a bird with wings, I suppose. Also notice the base of the windshield line. This car has opposing windshield wipers that sit up on little tiny pedestals. Check out the stainless around the window for the trim. So the side mirror placement and how it is designed and mounted. This car does have drip rails that start at the base of the windshield and run the length of the car right to there. Car has fender skirts, gas filler doors on the driver's side. Also check out where the bumpers end. They wrap clear back around to almost the rear wheel well, and they're layered as well. Look at how slender this back glass is. I'm gonna stand here. You can barely see the steering wheel from inside. It's pretty small. Nice Packard script here on the deck lid. License plate light is in the bumper itself. Also check out these tail lights and how they are designed. While we're back here, we might as well get in the trunk. It's pretty light, but that is a massive trunk. Bias ply spare. I'm gonna back up so you can see. Getting inside, but before we do, look at how this door handle is designed. Also, it doesn't operate the way that you think. Pull it back towards you. Door has some heft to it. This looks like simulated wood here on the top. Nice. It almost feels like a broadcloth material. Armrest, door handle to get out. Window crank for the big window. It operates like this. Vent windows, which are manual. But they are huge. Those vent windows are pretty big. Coming down inside the pedal box down here, high beam switch, clutch, brake, gas pedal, emergency brake and or hand brake. Take a look at this interior. Here is what over the hood looks like. Here is what first person over the hood looks like. Below the steering wheel, there is plenty of room between my lap and the steering wheel bottom. The only reason I show that is because if the steering wheel hits your leg or stomach or whatever, it's not comfortable to drive the car. On to the button switches and knobs. My footage is too dark, so I apologize for that. So we're going to use these pictures. Key for the ignition is on the left. Speedometer with odometer and tripometer inside of it. Coolant temperature, amp meter, oil pressure, gasoline gauge, clock. The lever with the yellow knob, that is for the cowl vent, air, defrost, and ventilation controls. There's another air vent off to the far right. The one in the center is either for heat or the blower fan speed. Up above are sun visors. That's my hand for reference. They're pretty big. There's another sun visor over here for the passenger. as well as rear view mirror here in the center. On to the glove box test. Here's our test subject. Here's my hand for reference. Here is the glove box in question. Oh, look at that. It fits in there no problem at all. I love the fact that it locks and it also has this nice lever. It makes it easy to open the glove box. Some of these glove boxes are hard to open. Just look at this door profile. Look at all of this, as well as what meets it. This feels like it almost feels like a Naugahyde, but I don't know if Naugahyde came out yet. Up here, broadcloth, faux wood. I love all of the detail in it. Rear vent windows, which is super classy. I guess that's all the further it goes. There is this partition here. Door handle to get out, window crank for the big window. Operates like this. And it goes all the way down. Take a look at the back interior. Take a look at this back seat. Here is what the front looks like from the back. Let's take a quick gander at the greenhouse or the pillar to glass ratio in this car. This is what visibility looks like out the back. There is a nice parcel shelf back there. Dome light right above. There aren't any coat hooks or dome light in the center. It's back here behind my head. There is an ashtray. Let's talk about the seat profile. It is rather upright and it does dip down in the back here, but it's not uncomfortable. There's also a footrest down here to place your feet on, and you got about 7-8 inches between my knee and the back of the chair. This is what I look like sitting in the back of the Packard. I got tons of headspace. It is a very, very comfortable car. The seats, I can't really describe them. It feels great. They feel amazing. Let's take a gander under the hood. This hood can be opened from either side. The engine sits way down inside. Oil bath air cleaner, long slender battery, dual horns, coil and distributor is on the driver's side. Oil filter is outside the block. On the positive side, nice and spacious, big trunk, huge vent windows, camera fits in the glove box. I personally warmed up to these cars. The fastback models are super cool. I love the dashboard, full instrumentation. Against it, these are overshadowed by the golden era Packards. All right, now it's time for Would You Rather. Two scenarios today. In the first scenario, would you rather have a 1950 Lincoln or 1950 Packard or 1950 Cadillac? I'm going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free, pause the video. Moving on to the second scenario, 1950 Imperial by Chrysler or 1950 Packard or 1950 Buick. Once again, going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free, pause the video. Now it's time for Name That Tune. First person to get both the name of the band and the song title correctly in the comment section will have their comment pinned to the top of it. Thank you all so much for coming out and watching this. If you'd like to get in touch with me, shoot me a comment in the comment section below or check out our Facebook group that correlates with this YouTube channel. Gives you the opportunity to share your rides, stories, experiences. Anything car related is totally a go there. If you don't have Facebook and would still like to reach me, maybe you have a car that you would like reviewed from your personal collection, send me an email, all of which will be linked in the description below. Just know I appreciate everything that you guys bring in the comment section. And until next time, toodaloo!